Yes, everybody, welcome back to Talking Wolves. Welcome back to a new match preview on the channel today. Hope you guys are keeping well. And we are back for another preview as Wolves host Everton in the final game before the international break. It's always going to be giving my thoughts. We'll have the opposition view later on, and obviously the thoughts of Vitor Pereira as well from his pre-match press conference. But after two defeats, it was all looking a bit doom and gloom last weekend. A win in the Carabao Cup against West Ham United, and I think spirits have lifted slightly, and a little bit more confidence in the transfer window with potential players coming in as well. However, huge question marks over Jorgen Strand Larsen and his potential participation in this game, which I'll talk about now. He did come off with a slight knock against AFC Bournemouth last weekend. He looked frustrated when he came off. He had ice on his leg, on his ankle area. But he did come off the bench, obviously, against West Ham United and fired in the two goals, which ended up being the equaliser and the winning goal for Wolves to advance into the third round of the Carabao Cup, where we will take on this weekend's opponents, Everton. However, Vitor Pereira has made his stance pretty clear today that he wants to keep Jorgen Strand Larsen, but he has got a slight injury that he's going to be managing ahead of tomorrow's game. However, more question marks with some of the articles over the last couple of hours or so on social media. Craig Hope from Daily Mail, who's been pretty clued up on the whole situation in Newcastle summer, has said he's set to miss the game tomorrow. I don't know if that's just him presuming based on Vitor's comments, but I think it's also Jan Aj Fjortoft? Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. Pretty much the Norwegian Gillen Balaguer, if you remember him, has said that he's been told Newcastle are still interested in Jorgen Strand Larsen. However, he's going to miss the match tomorrow against Everton. So a little bit of a concern. For me, I feel like, no disrespect to Everton, and I said this again in the opposition preview, I think later on, both sets of fans will be looking at this game, and I said this about the game against Bournemouth as a winnable game. I think without Jorgen Strand Larsen, that is a massive dent in our hopes of getting the full 3 points. It's not impossible because I still think we've got enough quality across the pitch, but not having Jorgen and obviously not having potential striker targets, they haven't come in yet, this will be a real dent. For him to be missing completely, I think huge, danger signs for me and huge question marks for me on his future if he's not in the squad at all. If he starts on the bench, fair enough, but it's a little bit of a worry. I would think that Vitor Pereira would have made it clear on the situation. If you remember with Mario Lemina, when Vitor first came in, there weren't fantastic signs. And in the end, Vitor Pereira said, until the deadline has happened, he won't be playing in my squad. He wants players that are 100% focused. Could this be the case tomorrow? I just really, really hope it gives either a certain player a chance to prove he's going to get opportunities, either Sasha Kalajdzic or Hwang Hee-chan, or I don't know. It's going to be a really difficult situation. I half expect 1:45 tomorrow when the team lineup is announced a little bit of a meltdown on social media, to be honest. But fingers crossed that's not the case. I'm really hoping Jorgen can play a part tomorrow, and I'm sure and I'm hoping he's not the type of player to kick up a fuss. And whilst he's still a Wolves player and still wearing the old gold shirt, he'll give his all for this football team. But yeah, that's the big question mark going into tomorrow's game. Anyway, in terms of other team news, Vitor Pereira didn't give too much away. Keanu Hoover is back in training. Obviously, he's still probably a slight doubt, so I'd assume Jackson Chichua will come in and start for the first time in the Premier League, especially after a pretty impressive cameo against West Ham and Bournemouth when he came off the bench, to be fair. He didn't have a bad performance at all. Yeah, you know what? Let's jump in to my predicted lineup anyway. Yeah, some changes, and it's very difficult to say with the Jorgen Strand Larsen situation. I would probably say it's going to be Jose Sarr in goal. I think Hugo Bueno could come back in at left wing back, Chichua at right wing back. The back three probably back to Totti, Agbadu and Doherty. João Gomez and Andre in the middle. Manetzi and Arias. And I will go with Hwang Hee-chan up front. Although I probably in an ideal world would like to see Sasha given the opportunity, especially he had a half-decent cameo when he came on against West Ham United as well. Of course, Ladislav Krejci has now joined the club. outside shout maybe for him to start ahead of Totti Gomez. Vitor did say he could play in the midfield as well, but I think as a left-footed defender, he'll probably play there. So maybe there's an opportunity for him to come in at some point as well. But yeah, that's probably the lineup that I would say for tomorrow. But hopefully, like I said, Jorgen Strand Larsen does come back in and can play a part. But Everton, going to be a tricky opposition, of course. Before we jump into the opposition perspective, big shout out again to our channel partners over at Betmate. If you want to get involved in their game this week, Wolves and Everton is part of the 3 p.m. guaranteed pot. If you want to get involved in that, be sure to either scan the QR code that's been on the screen throughout the video or click the link in the top of the description. You can make your account and get involved in that. It's a fantasy football type game where you pick 7 players from the 3 p.m. kickoffs who you think will score the most goals, make the most assists, most tackles, blocks, saves, for your chance to win some of the prize pots. But yeah, check out Betmate, a link in the top of the description. But once again, it was great to speak to Ben, the Everton fan, to get his thoughts on the Toffees. Big season for them coming up. Obviously, first big full season back with David Moyes, the new stadium, the new transfers, including Jack Grealish and co. But yeah, let's get his thoughts ahead of tomorrow's game. So Ben, it's an absolute pleasure to have you back on Talking Wolves, mate. How you keeping?
I'm very well, thanks for having me back on again to talk, well, what's going to be a massive game on Saturday.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Wolves, 2 games, 2 defeats. Everton have got off the mark. They got a victory last week as well. And obviously, we'll get into your transfers and things like that. But what are your thoughts going into this new season? Obviously, a couple of weeks in, like I've just said. What are you thinking? How are you feeling?
Well, it's a lot positive than what it was this time last year when I spoke to you. I
Yeah,
mean, literally this Everton Football Club has gone through the mill the past few years. I mean, we're so lucky to still be a Premier League football club, given that the finances and the owner and the absent owner. But that new ground and the new owners and they're seriously backing David Moyes. We feel like a proper Premier League football club again. It feels like the prime Barclays era is back now at Everton Football Club. I mean, I can't wait for yourself to come up to that new ground. It's something else. I was worried about moving from Goodison Park because,
yeah.
I love that ground. I love the wooden seats. I love the restricted views. I love the booing at times. I loved how much we hated everyone. But you know what? That new ground, it felt like home straight away. I didn't think it would be, but honest to God, it felt like home. I'm really looking forward to the season.
Yeah, no, it's weird how little things like that, whether it's a new big signing or, like you said, the infrastructure at the stadium. I think it's a big boost, and there'll be players that you've spoken to that are like, I really want to play there. I want those sort of arenas and those sort of stadiums to be my home ground. So I'm sure it's helped. And I was speaking to an Everton fan earlier on about this. I think you've got a real steady pair of hands in Moyes now, and hopefully I'm hoping it's the same for Wolves, but for Everton, it's a season of progression. Like you said, you've sort of been milling around the sort of bottom end of the table for the last few years. I think with Moyes and the signings that you've brought in, which we'll talk about in a minute, I'm sure it'll be only one way, and that's up, hopefully. Like I said, the 2 results so far, I think the opening day defeat you probably weren't too happy with, but things improved a little bit last weekend.
Yeah, I mean that Leeds game was the worst we've performed in about 3 years, and we've seen some shockers. It was atrocious. We let the atmosphere get the better of us. The players looked a bit lost. He looked a bit of stage fright, and I mean David Moyes got it completely wrong. And David Moyes is a man that sets the standards. We never seem to have back-to-back poor performances.
Yeah,
So going into Sunday's game, the first game at Hill Dickinson Stadium, I mean, I wouldn't have liked to be in any of them players going out onto that field and losing that game because there would
yeah,
have been absolute carnage. The atmosphere, the build up, the fireworks. It was just a very, very special day. Don't get me wrong, we got very lucky on Sunday. Very lucky. Brighton could have easily scored 2 or 3 goals. Jordan Pickford once again showing just how well class he is. 2 amazing saves in the first half, a penalty save in the second half, and look, we've now got players that can hurt teams. We haven't had that for a number of years. We've now got quality in the final third, what we're going to touch on. Great to get off the mark with 3 points. Brighton are one of them teams that in August they always seem to look like prime Barcelona and then fade when it comes to the winter times. But you know what? We put them on the back foot. Deserved the 3 points. Great to get off the mark, but look, we needed that win. We needed to settle down because there was a lot of people getting frustrated about not so much the lack of signings, but we just need a bit more depth because our squad was a bit thin. But no, made up to get the 3 points over the line.
Yeah, it's weird because we've had a real tough start, and I think we've had conversations about it on social media over the summer. I think we've had quite a difficult summer in regards to getting players over the line as well. And I think if if the Carabao Cup game for us was massive this week, beating West Ham, there's almost this sort of sense of relief and a little bit more confidence going into Saturday's game. I think if we were going into Saturday's game having been knocked out of the cup and on the back of those two defeats, it would have been all doom and gloom for Wolves. So obviously you guys got your job done as well against lower league opposition during the week. This Saturday, I think, is big for Wolves because we want to be going into the international break, hopefully with something on the board. And it'll be a tricky test. Our form in August is absolutely atrocious. Since we've come back into the Premier League under Nuno, we haven't won a game in August. Although our form at Molineux against Everton is actually half decent. So it'll be interesting on that front. But in terms of signings, it's been a really interesting summer. Tyler Diblin's recently come in for a decent fee. Barry, Dewsbury Hall. One of the more intriguing ones, Grealish as well. I mean, what are your thoughts on some of these summer signings so far?
Oh, Jack Grealish. I mean, the man doesn't look like he breaks a sweat. I mean, we're just his calves, to be honest. But I feel like with Jack Grealish, he is that world-class final third bit that we've needed. He is. It's so hard to describe because he looks like he plays the game in slow motion. He looks
Yeah,
like he's not even trying, but he drifts past players. He makes stuff happen. He got 2 great assists on Sunday, and I feel like David Moyes is trying to give him his confidence back. At Man City, I always said Pep Guardiola overcoached Jack Grealish. He
yeah,
was he was stuck on the far left. It was like you do not move from that left touchline. But at Everton, you'll probably see on Saturday, he's given that free role. He is playing on the left, but so many times, occasionally, he'll drift inside, playing that number 10 role. We have like 2 false number 10s, and he's dragging players with him, which creates the overlap. And obviously, Wolves play it normally a back three, don't they? So the
yeah,
wing backs will be getting dragged inside. That for me will be an area that Everton look to capitalise in. But no, it's kind of a pinch me moment when you see a player of that quality running down the wing for your football club. I mean, that goal on Sunday, the opening goal, this time last year, we wouldn't have scored it. We had Jack
yeah.
Harrison, we had Lindstrom, McNeil. They haven't got the attributes to be drawing players in, getting past players, crossing the ball. And so I'm delighted with Jack Grealish. Kieran Dewsbury Hall, I think he's a fantastic pickup. I think that he's a player that's not done really well in the Championship, did well at Leicester, but then obviously got relegated, went to
Mm-hmm.
Chelsea. Bit of a bad career move for him, but I've always been a fan. And now he's playing that advanced number 10 role for Everton, and that's where he played last year. Neat, tidy player, Premier League proven. I think he's probably going to be the signing of the season for Everton,
Mm-hmm.
and that's obviously against obviously Jack Grealish. I'm a big fan of Kieran Dewsbury Hall. And then obviously you look at Tierno Barry, another £27 million signing from Villarreal. He he's kind of a bit raw, to be honest. I know you've probably seen like the likes of Beto.
Yeah,
It's hard to describe what he's like, Tierno Barry. He's a bit chaotic. He's not the finished article, not the finished product. And I feel like Evertonians are looking for a potential seasoned veteran to come in and just take the pressure off the 2 strikers. But, you and I both know trying to find someone like that is
especially in this
almost
market.
impossible.
Yeah,
And the
yeah.
market's extortionate. So we'll have to wait and see with him. Asnu, development signing at left back. He's been injured for the past couple of games. We haven't really seen much of him. I'm Tyler Diblin. I mean, I can't believe we got that one over the line. I'm a
Mm.
massive fan of Tyler Diblin. 19 years of age, one of the England's, if not Europe's, hottest prospects. Still young, 19 years of age. Southampton wanted £100 million this time last year. We ended up getting him for £35 million with a few add-ons. So yeah, I'm happy with Everton's business. I mean, I'm not convinced fully. Probably a 6, 7 out of 10. We still need a central defensive midfielder. We
Mm-hmm.
still need a right back, and I could sit here and argue till I'm blue in the face that we still need that striker. But yeah, it's still work to do, but a lot of positives.
You forgot your number one sign as well, Tom King, signing of the summer as
Oh,
well.
well,
That one.
I spoke to you about Tom King, and I
Yeah,
said, what's he like? I know you said he's massive in the dressing
yeah,
room,
yeah,
and
yeah.
he's what a job that is, fair choice goalie at any Premier
He
League
was
club.
fourth choice for Wolves last year as well. Yeah, I mean, to be fair to him, he's still got minutes. I think in the last game of the season, I think they felt that he'd had that much influence that he got that game time. But yeah, I mean, it is a good job, isn't it? That third or fourth choice keeper. I was going to say as well. I mean, Grealish. I mean, all the signings there. I mean, Dewsbury Hall and Tyler Diblin. You got your homegrown talent. Dewsbury Hall sort of toward the mid-20s now, but Diblin as well. I mean, yes, the initial outlay is quite a lot, but I mean the potential that he's got, and he could genuinely be a player that's at Everton for 5, 6, 7, 8+ years. You signing players of that quality for that price. You're going to get your money's worth. In terms of Grealish, I think you're right. I think, like you said with Moyes, giving him at City, it's almost too robotic as such. Like you have to play that way, you have to play that style. Whereas I always thought, like he did at Villa, whether he be at teams like Everton, like Wolves, he's your main man. You give him the free roll,
Yeah.
give him the ball, he'll do what he wants to do and what he can do. And I think that's you will start to see the best out of Grealish again at Everton. Do you think there's any opportunity that if things go well, you got a chance of keeping him permanently?
Do you know what? We on the podcast we kind of got a bit of the exclusives with the Jack Grealish stuff. I mean, we were kind of ahead of the game with what was going on with it, and he's just built a £4 million home up in Manchester. I think it's Alderley Edge, Wilmslow ways. He's obviously settled with his newborn baby and obviously his long-term partner. He was always wanted to come to Everton. He was just hopeful that the finances could get done. He loves the Northwest, and I just feel like that first phone call with David Moyes, I remember getting the text saying like it's gone really, really well. He was he loved the stadium. He loved the idea. He loved David Moyes. David Moyes said, "I'll give you that. I'll make you fall in love with football again." Was apparently the words used. You've seen how emotional he was on Sunday. I
Yeah.
think there's a chance. I think he'll fall in love with this club, and I think that there's a chance we could get that one over the line. I mean, there's talks of an option of £50 million for Jack Grealish. I mean, I don't want Everton spending £50 million on a 31-year-old Jack
Yeah.
Grealish, but if there's a chance for a £25 million, 1 year left on his contract, I'd be all over it. And I think Jack Grealish will push for it as well.
Yeah, no, it'll be interesting. I know. Obviously, we've. I'm sure he'll get booed on Saturday because of his Villa link, and we've had some good battles with Jack Grealish over the years. But I do hope, obviously, for as a talented footballer, there, it's a shame to see that go to waste as well. And for you, Ben, what's sort of the ambition for the rest of the season then for Everton? Like I said, I think Moyes will want to look up the table rather than down. But what's your aim as a fan for this season?
It's a difficult one because obviously since Moyes came in, I think he's done an incredible job. I mean, the job he did from January to the end of the last season was fantastic. The points on the board, our away form was really good. Our home form was a bit iffy, but we really revitalised. I think we had a top 8 or top 9 points since Moyes came in, since he's joined the club. So that's a real positive for me. It's baby steps. We've got to
Yeah,
learn to walk before we can run. We've had a treacherous time in the trenches the past few years. It's been hell. It's been a real struggle year
yeah,
after year after year. But we just need to take a breath. We've got a great new ground, new finances, new budget coming into the club. We've got a bit of cash coming into ourselves from obviously the Freaking Group, new owners. So there's that renewed optimism. I think we could break that top half,
hmm
try and get a cup or a cup run under the belt, and then baby steps. I think David Moyes has alluded to it. We can't fix all the problems in one window, and I can completely agree. Let's just get a nice, comfortable year. Let's see if we can maybe break the top 8 mould. That'd be fantastic. But a top half finish and a big cup run, or even a cup, would probably be the dream for me.
yeah. Again, the conversations I had earlier on, very similar sort of thing. Again, for Wolves, crap couple of years. If we can build on that and slide up the table, I think for clubs like ourselves, the cup, it would be absolutely massive. I can't even dream, barely dream of Wolves lifting any silverware. So it'd be an amazing feeling that would for either club to do that this season. And again, not expecting you to have seen loads and loads of about Wolves, Ben, over the summer or early part of the season. But any thoughts on our club and squad going into Saturday's game?
But you know me, I think Wolves is a fantastic club. Fantastic fans. I always love going to Molineux, get my eyebrows singed, so that the hot, when the players come out. But do you know what? I love the walk up. The fans are brilliant. I think that it's a very nice mixture of fans, very passionate, very loud ground, that old ground. I think the squad. I mean, I have followed Wolves a little bit, obviously for the connections for yourself, and I just
Yeah.
feel like they need that little bit more investment. It feels like for the past 3 or 4 years, especially, Wolves' big players have been getting cherry picked by the so-called bigger clubs, and then you just don't see the big investment in. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm a big fan of obviously Agbadu, the centre half. I think he's an animal. I think he's a beast. I'd absolutely love him. I've always been a big fan of Gomez and Andre in the middle. I think last year at Everton, I thought they were fantastic, and I think I was surprised to see Andre not start against Bournemouth. I
Yeah.
don't know why.
A lot
Don't know
of
why he
people were.
wasn't playing.
Yeah.
But I thought them two together, they compensate themselves really well. That's probably Everton's biggest weakness, where I'd probably suggest Wolves need to target. I'd be very surprised if them two aren't starting. Obviously, Strand Larsen. I was hoping Newcastle would come in with another big bid to try and turn his head, to be honest. I mean, I've had a few Everton fans say, it's ridiculous. You know, how are they bidding 50, 60 million pounds for him? People forget, like, he's only 24, 25 years of age. He's got 14 Premier League goals
I don't think
last
people
year.
realise how many goals he scored last year, to be fair.
He's a big target man, can hold the ball up, got lovely feet, great finisher. I mean, it makes me think that people just don't watch football at times and just base it on the fact that he looks like a big lump up front, but he's got so much more to his game. I think he's a fantastic footballer. I just feel like Wolves are missing that bit of creativity, that bit of spark that Mateus Cunha used to give. You know, out Norway was a fantastic fullback as well. I know you got like the likes of Doherty playing right centre half and stuff. I mean, if I'm Everton, I'm looking to try and get it in with Jack Grealish, try and draw out those fullbacks, try and get attack them. You know, Hoover's come back from his loan spell last year.
Yeah.
I mean, just the fullbacks look a bit weak. You know, Semedo leaving as well. Big loss for the club, obviously club captain. So I think Wolves will be fine this year. Obviously, I seen you on Sky recently talking about the manager and Vitor Pereira. I think he's done a good job at Wolves. I feel like he's connected to the fans. The pints and the Weatherspoons and that beforehand goes down an absolute treat. But a really respectful club. Wolves. I've got a lot of time for them. So yeah, I do wish them all the best for the season, just not on Saturday.
Yeah, no, of course. Yeah, I mean the wing back situation will be an interesting one. I mean, Agbadu's had a slow start for us this season, not up to his normal standards, but the wing back situation has been a little bit all over the place. But I think based on Tuesday's win against West Ham, I'd assume it would be Hugo Bueno on the left and a guy called Jackson Chichua, really quick right wing back. But it'll be interesting, like you said, to see how he comes up against Jack Grealish, and that'll be an interesting battle for sure.
Yeah.
And Ben, to finish off, score prediction, what are you thinking?
I've said 2-1 Everton. I think we'll go 1-0 up. I think Tierno Barry will break his duck and score his first goal. I think Strand Larsen will equalise, and then I think Jack Grealish will get the winner. So I'm going to go for 2-1 Everton.
Yeah,
That'll really put the cat amongst the pigeons.
Yeah, no, a 2-1 either way. I think it's going to be a close game, and like I said, Wolves got a great record at Molineux against Everton,
Very good.
but our August form for whatever reason is awful. But I think it's really crucial Wolves try and get something on the board.
I think your only win in August was against Everton when there's a Kolasinac scored at Goodison, the 1-0 in the 87th minute.
Oh, I think that was in.
No, that was definitely Wolves. August. It was our first home game, and we battered you, and then they. I'm sure it was like.
Actually, you are right. Actually, I just
I'll never forget it because he never scored again.
Yeah, he scored. He scored then, and he scored against Bournemouth as well. But you are right because I saw that the other day pop up. I read a stat earlier, and it didn't read as. Let me have a quick look at this stat.
I'm pretty sure that was our first home game, and it was late August.
You are right, yeah. Wolves. Oh, it's home matches. Sorry, yeah. So our winless in our last 11 Premier League home match. I think you are right, but yeah, it's probably only 1 or 2 wins in August. Since we've come back up. But you are right. I do remember that now. So we'll
that was our first win in August in 4 years as well on Sunday.
Really?
So.
Yeah. So we're both in the same boat. Ben, where can people find you and your podcast if they wish?
If you want to tune in, it's A View from the Bullens, Everton channel. We're on Spotify, Patreon, YouTube, the usual. But, I love coming on this channel. What you're doing here is really, really good. I always tune in and have a little look. And obviously we talk. And I've met some of your mates as well online and fantastic people. And keep up the good work.
No, I appreciate that, Ben. And like you said, apart from Saturday, all the rest of the season, I'm sure we'll catch up in between anyway.
Yeah, definitely. All the best, mate.
Cheers, mate. Thank you. So big thanks once again to Ben. I'll make sure you leave a link to him and his podcast in the description. It's always fantastic to talk to him about Everton and the great battles that we have. Look, the form between Wolves and Everton at Molineux has been good for Wolves. But our form in August, especially at home, like I mentioned in that part there, has not been so good. So I think if we can go into the international break with 3 points on the board, i.e. a win tomorrow, I think it will give fans so much more confidence, a little bit more room for negotiation in the transfer, because we won't be in the bottom three, touch wood. Hopefully a few more players in before Monday, and it could be a really positive week for Wolves. But let's see how we can do, and fingers crossed it is a good week. And let me know your thoughts and score predictions in the comment section down below, guys. As always, be sure to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll catch you on the next one.